I saw this very interesting discussion on Reddit, and I thought I might as well give my 2 cents on it. Essentially, it's one of those main protagonists with every power in their verse type scenarios. So you have Gon with every Nen ability, Yuji with every curse technique and domain. You have Tanjiro with sun breathing and every blood demon art, plus Deku with every quirk. Let's get started. Since a fight like this by nature is balancing literally like hundreds of abilities with thousands of combinations, I think the best way to kind of judge each contestant would be by 4 categories: hacks, base stats, recovery options, and then overall accounting for their personality and tactical mind, because this is going to get important later on. That being said, Tanjiro kind of loses first. Like, it's low-key crazy to think about, but Tanjiro having every blood demon art plus practically unlimited sun breathing probably still wouldn't get him to sniff the shoes of the strongest character in his own verse, who also probably wouldn't be able to win this fight. With access to every blood demon art, Tanjiro would have a litany of recovery options. Biggest ones I can think of: the possibility to recover from decapitation or at least survive the sunlight, since I'm assuming that's not really a factor here. He would also have the ability to use Daki's Obi technique to attack or at least hide away from multiple miles away. He would also have like multiple teleportation options with both the Bog Demon and the Infinity Castle. And he would also have the ability to use Compass Needle plus Muzan's Blood whips as a way to kind of overcome this stat gap and get some cheap shots in. But he also has no real reliable way of one-shotting everyone here. Plus the stat gap with Demon Slayer is like way below everyone here, with some of the high tiers of the verse getting to at least like city level with lightning level AP, with some relativistic speeds here and there. It depends on who you ask. Either way, it's just unlikely that Tanjiro would be able to win here. Going with every net ability, though, is the most interesting idea here, and it's kind of why I established the personality thing. Because even though Gon will have a lot of really cool abilities on display, I don't think in per character Gon will be able to make use of every ability on the list, just due to the nature of how Nen works and how its restrictions work. Killua is actually a great example of this, since Killua's main abilities are using his aura to transmute into electricity that enhances his own capabilities. The problem is, though, that like with Genfru and also Killua, their aura does not grant them inherent resistances to their own Nen abilities. They would have to expand their aura to overput the output of their own abilities, which is just a fancy way of saying that Gon does not have Killua's natural resistance to electricity, which means he would have to expend more unnecessary aura to try and utilize Godspeed to its fullest. Personality-wise, he also wouldn't never want to use Pito's abilities as well. So, which limits kind of the amount of abilities that Gon would probably want to utilize anyway. We can also theorize that he wouldn't want to use the Phantom Troops abilities as well, due to just not liking them generally. So it kind of leaves us with only really a couple of options here. Especially when you consider the fact that complicated Nen abilities like APR is also probably outside of Gon's overall mental capacity to even understand. No, I don't blame him. Finally, there's also the fact that there are just other Nen abilities that are so impractical that Gon would also never use them. Benolt, for example, can only get the physical information out of someone through cutting their hair and eating it with his favorite scissors, which Gon wouldn't have access to. So it'd be completely pointless to even discuss it. Still, there should be ways to kind of get around this, at least. Gon could theoretically utilize Emperor Time. Sure, he can't turn his eyes red normally, but with Yuppie and Shiapu's abilities, he should be able to replicate the effect, which means that he should be able to utilize every Nen ability to 100% efficiency, even if he would still have to overcome like at least a couple of other Nen abilities in proxy. He would have BFR, or the ability to at least like kill people remotely using Nov's teleportation ability. Then you'd also need to have Nen abilities like Shoots, which would allow him to at least, blind and incapacitate people. Apparently there's also the Monkey Zodiac that can blind, turn people deaf, and also force them not to speak. Then you also got razor abilities. There's like a lot here. The biggest issue is that Gon would have to kind of go out of his way to utilize Nen abilities that weren't exactly that restrictive. Also, he would have to abuse post-mortem Nen and rage amps, which is something that the other characters in this list would capitalize. Either way, though, having every Nen ability is just kind of more trouble than it's worth, unironically. Haven't even discussed Naniko's ability, which would be kind of pointless since it would require someone else to make the wish instead of himself. Thus leaving us with Yuji, who would have some of the best abilities in this list, bar none. Gojo's Infinity plus 6 Eyes plus Limitless plus his Unlimited Void pretty much means that Yuji would have almost complete immunity to almost everything that every character here can throw at them. Plus, he would also have the ability to insta-stun lock anyone here. Maharaga could also be utilized, if Yuji can keep it alive, to potentially one-shot every single character on this list with enough rotations and adaptation. Idle Transfiguration from Mahito would also mean that any damage that Yuji receives would become null and void, while at the same time also meaning that Yuji could literally require one touch through his domain and everyone here would get at least a little bit fucked up or unencumbered, especially Gon and Tanjiro, since they have no resistance to soul hacks as far as we know. Serving as a perfect spear to the shield here, we also have Sukuna's World-Cutting Slash, which would theoretically be able to one-shot KO any person on this list, since if it lands. Combine that with the Black Flashes, plus also RCT, and also the inverse technique, and Yuji has pretty much everything he needs to keep himself alive indefinitely in fight at peak condition, while also making sure that he could one-shot KO any person here so long as he gets one little hit. So why do I think he loses to Deku? Mainly because I think Deku here has the just sheer quantity of quirks to keep up with Yuji's quality of curse techniques. Let me explain. Unlike pretty much everyone here on this list, while JJK's highest tiers can get to like country level to at least like relativistic speeds at the most, Deku is casually and consistently that through pretty much his final battle against Shigaraki, where he was threatening to destroy the world, and also the fact that Deku was able to move faster than light, given the fact that Shigaraki was able to react to light. On top of that, too, Deku has the most amount of abilities here that he can use safely without really any real drawbacks. All for One would manage to get rid of and take control of any quirk that gives Deku any trouble. Then, on top of that, too, you have to keep in mind with One for All, every quirk that is on the list and every feat that you see in character do in My Hero would get further enhanced for the stockpiling nature of the quirk itself. He would also have actual multiple IQ enhancing quirks like High Spec and, well, IQ to help him out, which would again also be enhanced. So he wouldn't have trouble processing what abilities he could use overall. Messages are a bit weird too, but theoretically with both All for One and One for All at play, Deku should be able to freely access hundreds of souls, or at least vestiges that operate on a soul-like level, to both defend himself from Yuji's soul attacks, but also use them to actually get hit as well. And for those of you who are suggesting why Infinity would probably still be able to win the day, Deku will also be able to enhance himself further with New Order, and would also get an enhanced version of New Order. And New Order has the ability to completely destroy the atmosphere. And as far as I can tell, at least, Yuji still needs to be able to breathe. That's one of the main things that Limitless shouldn't be able to filter out. That combined with Light, and theoretically speaking, Yuji really doesn't have like a direct way of killing Deku, at least immediately, just through the stat gap and his litany of options. Either way, I trust Deku's overall quantity of quirks over the quality of most of the abilities on this list. Still though, I want all your thoughts below on who do you think wins. This list has like hundreds upon thousands of combinations, so please tell me who do you think wins down below, and please, happy holidays and Merry Christmas Eve. Hope you got what you wanted.